Jeremiah, thanks for sitting down with me today. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Jeremiah, you come from an academic background. You had your post at Oklahoma State University for 5 years before coming to Bayer in 2016. Can you just share with me a little bit about how did that transition work for you, and maybe a snapshot of why that decision was made, Jeremiah?
Yeah, it was a great transition for me because being at the university, working with extension type programs and grower focus and what the needs are, as well as having that science background and going to Bayer. It's an innovation type company focused on grower needs and bringing value to the grower while still having a focus on science and driving results.
And so that's a big shift, though, right? And this conversation happens at my home a lot because my brother is a professor at the University of Saskatchewan, and I am not a professor at the university. And so we have this dialogue a lot about the pluses and the minuses on either side of the dialogue. What's your take? Because you now are able to bring both perspectives.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both sides. I think both sides are doing their part for science as well as bringing solutions to the growers. So at Bayer, we want to bring solutions that are technically sound, and we use the university to help make those recommendations and go forward from there.
We really need them both, don't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Both. Just don't tell my brother. What skills have you brought from that academic side where you sharpened your teeth there? What skills have you brought over to working with Bayer and being able to advance that process?
I think it's been a very similar between the two companies in my organization and at Oklahoma State, where, like I said, we work on solutions for the grower in need, and my skills is being able to summarize this technical information and distill it down to meet the grower solution where he recognizes the problem and how we have a solution that can meet that need.
Right, and being solutions-based really is the whole concept here, isn't it? I think you folks just released some material the other day, and I'm going to read this to make sure I got it right here. Showing soybean growers are harvesting record yields, even though we continue to face disease pressures. Total yearly economic losses due to sudden death syndrome and soybean cyst nematode are a staggering $1.6 billion a year. And now with launching a new Olivo product, that's going to help to support. No one's ever going to claim to eliminate, but to support that process. Can you talk a little bit about why that's so important? And again, from a solutions-based perspective, how does this fit into that solution?
Yeah, so sudden death syndrome and soybean cyst nematode continue to be the top yield robbers, and soybean cyst nematode is throughout soybean growing geographies continues to be the #1 yield loss, along with sudden death syndrome right there. And it's important to know you don't necessarily have those visual symptoms occur, but you still can lose that yield potential. Olivo brings that early season protection from root rot that causes SDS, as well as the infection cycle prevents infection and SCN reproduction, bringing that yield potential back to the grower.
And so you folks have successfully done a number of trials now. What kind of response rate are we looking at?
So for Olivo, we have a yield range of 2 to 4 bushel. 2 to 10 bushel. That 2 to 4 bushel range is for our below ground pests. So soybean cyst nematode, sudden death syndrome when we don't have those foliar symptoms, just the root rot piece. And if the environment's right for foliar expression of sudden death syndrome, the yield response from Olivo can be quite dramatic, 4 to 10 bushel, because those foliar symptoms really can devastate soybean yields.
Is this something that's going to go beyond soybeans?
Olivo is a soybean product. We do have other nematicide products in our portfolio for corn as well as for cotton, but they're under different brand names.
Jeremiah, I see this positioned as a big advancement for soybean growers in the United States. What's the advancement, and why is that meaningful to soybean producers?
So for sudden death syndrome, it's a big advancement because it is the only solution on the market that addresses that root rot portion of sudden death syndrome, which is where the actual infection cycle occurs. Growing tolerant soybean varieties only address the foliar symptoms. So adding Olivo is just complementary to the soybean sudden death syndrome tolerant varieties. And for soybean cyst nematode, we do have resistant varieties, but those resistant varieties have been grown across the U.S. with 95% of the portfolio using the same resistance source. So adding Olivo brings that extra yield potential because we know this SCN is developing resistance and an increased ability to reproduce on those resistant varieties. So Olivo adds that extra yield potential and protection from those damaging pests.
Seed treatments are obviously continuing to increase in scope and capabilities. We know that that's the best way to be tackling some of this pest pressure. What do you see as you look down the pipeline and look into how else are seed treatments going to be able to help us in the future?
I think it's exciting in the seed treatment world. I mean, we're developing biologics. We have a new corn product we just launched, Poncho Votivo 2.0, new biologic space, integrating seed treatment equipment and the ability to prescription treat, match that specific acre to the right seed treatment as well as the right variety. Make sure we're making the sound agronomic practices to advance yield and the potential for the grower.
Right. I actually talked with your colleague Greg yesterday, I guess, and one of the key ingredients here was talking about the environment. How does that fit in from your perspective in the products that you're working with?
So we can't predict the environment. Once we put that seed in the ground, it's up to Mother Nature. So having that seed treatment there is a critical investment because that most important investment the grower makes is the seed. So we want to protect the seed from whether it be seedling diseases, whether it's sudden death syndrome because we don't know if those foliar diseases are going to occur, but we can protect from root rot, as well as soybean cyst, nematode, which can cause damage regardless of the environment, but it can exasperate under those hot, dry conditions.
Perfect. Jeremiah, thanks very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.